what if nuclear war silenced the world forever? Picture this. It's 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis has the world holding its breath. One wrong move and nuclear fire rains down. Command centers go dark. Phones die. Generals can't talk to pilots. The entire defense system collapses in minutes. What if there was no way to fight back? What if one bomb ended it all? That nightmare kept Pentagon planners awake at night, so they funded a secret project, a communication system designed to survive the end of the world. Hey friends, welcome to the Invent IQ, the channel that turns everyday inventions into epic stories you'll never forget. I'm your host, and today we're uncovering the military secret that became the internet, the invention that changed the world. You're watching this video on it right now. You message friends, shop online, learn, laugh, and connect with the entire planet in seconds. But do you know who really created it? The military minds, the near failures, the rivalries, and the one idea that almost died in a classified lab? Over the next few minutes, you'll discover how a doomsday network designed for war became the greatest peacetime invention in history. You'll meet the unsung heroes, feel the heart-stopping breakthroughs, and walk away seeing your phone in a completely new light. So buckle up, this story is wild. Let's dive in.
The nuclear nightmare that inspired packet switching. Back in the early 1960s, the United States Air Force was terrified. A Soviet first strike could wipe out centralized phone lines and radio towers in seconds. No communication meant no retaliation. Game over. Enter Paul Baran, a brilliant young engineer working at the Rand Corporation in Santa Monica. The military gave him an impossible job: design a network that could keep working even if huge chunks of it were vaporized. In a quiet office lit by fluorescent lights, Baran sketched something radical. Instead of sending one long message down a single wire like traditional phone calls, he would chop the message into tiny pieces. Each piece, called a packet, would carry its own address and travel its own route. If one path was destroyed, the packets simply rerouted around the damage, like cars dodging traffic. At the end, they reassembled perfectly. He called it Distributed Adaptive Message Block Switcher. We call it packet switching. And here's the crazy part. The military almost rejected it. It was too different, too risky. Baran spent years refining the idea, publishing a massive 11-volume report in 1964. He even drew cute cartoons to explain it to skeptical generals. That single concept is still the beating heart of the internet you're using right now. Every email, every video, every cat meme travels in packets. Without Baran's military-funded breakthrough, none of this exists. Wow fact number 1, the system he designed to survive nuclear war now carries the entire knowledge of humanity, safely, instantly, and to billions of people.
The visionary at ARPA who saw the future. While Baran was drawing his packet diagrams, another mind was exploding with possibility. His name was Joseph Carl Robert Licklider. Everyone just called him Lick. In 1962, Lick joined the Advanced Research Project Agency, ARPA, the Pentagon's cutting-edge science arm. He wasn't a computer expert. He was a psychologist who studied how humans and machines could work together. One August afternoon, he sat down and typed a memo titled "On the Intergalactic Computer Network." Yeah, intergalactic. He wasn't kidding. Lick imagined thousands of computers, all connected, sharing programs and data instantly, no matter where they were. He wrote, "Imagine that all the computers in the world are connected, and you can access any of them from anywhere." ARPA bosses listened. They gave him funding and freedom. Lick hired the best young researchers and turned ARPA's Information Processing Techniques office into a powerhouse. He left ARPA in 1964, but his vision stayed behind like rocket fuel. Imagine living in the 1960s. Computers were giant, expensive, and isolated. You couldn't even send a file from one machine to another without physically carrying a tape. Lick's dream sounded like science fiction. Yet that dream became the mission. Without Licklider's big picture thinking, ARPA would never have greenlit the project that changed everything. Key insight: sometimes the most revolutionary ideas come from people who ask the simplest question: What if machines could talk? The secret project called ARPANET takes shape. By 1966, ARPA had a new leader for the project, Bob Taylor. He was tired of switching between 3 different computer terminals just to talk to different research groups. So he convinced the ARPA director to spend $1 million, real money back then, to build a single network connecting all these machines. They hired Bolt, Beranek, and Newman, BBN, a small Boston company full of brilliant engineers. The plan? Create special mini-computers called Interface Message Processors, or IMPs, that would translate between different computer languages and route the packets. In 1968, the contract was signed. The target? 4 university sites: UCLA, Stanford Research Institute, UC Santa Barbara, and the University of Utah. Engineers worked around the clock. They tested, crashed, debugged. The first IMP arrived at UCLA in September 1969. On October 29th, everything was ready. 2 teams, one at UCLA, one at Stanford, prepared to send the very first message across the new network. The word they planned to type? Login. What happened next would change history.
The historic first message, low, across the wires. October 29, 1969, a small room at UCLA. Charlie Klein sits at the keyboard. Across the 350-mile phone line, Bill Duvall waits at Stanford. Charlie types the letter L. It arrives. He types O. It arrives. Then, crash. The system overloads. The first message ever sent over what would become the internet was simply LO. They fixed it 10 minutes later and sent the full login. But that tiny LO was enough. ARPANET was alive. Within weeks, more nodes joined. By 1971, there were 15 sites. Ray Tomlinson at BBN invented network email in 1971, the first killer app. He chose the @ symbol because it wasn't used anywhere else. His first email? Sent to himself on a different machine. But success brought problems. Different networks used different rules. Universities wanted in, the military wanted control. Funding battles raged. Some insiders even worried the whole thing would collapse under its own growth. Yet it didn't. Every time it faced a wall, brilliant minds pushed through. That resilience, built for war, proved perfect for peace. Insight? The internet wasn't born perfect. It was born stubborn. TCP/IP, the universal language of the internet. By the mid-1970s, ARPANET was growing fast, but it was still one network. Other countries and companies were building their own packet networks, and none could talk to each other. Enter Cerf and Bob Kahn. In 1974, they published a paper that changed everything: a protocol for packet network intercommunication. They designed TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, later joined by IP, Internet Protocol. Think of it like this: TCP makes sure every packet arrives safely and in the right order. IP makes sure each packet knows where it's going. Together, they create a universal language. Any network, any computer, anywhere. As long as it speaks TCP/IP, it can join the club. On January 1st, 1983, Flag Day, the entire ARPANET switched over to TCP/IP. It was the moment the internet as we know it was officially born. Cerf and Bob Kahn are still called the fathers of the internet. They never patented it. They gave it to the world. Key insight: the reason your phone works with a server in another country is because of 2 guys who refused to let networks stay isolated. That open standard is why the internet exploded.
Breaking the military chains, the internet goes public. For years, ARPANET stayed mostly inside government and university walls. Then, in the early 1980s, the National Science Foundation built NSFNet, a faster backbone for researchers. More and more people got access. In 1983, the military split off its own network, MILNET, leaving ARPANET to civilians. The floodgates cracked open. Then, in 1989 at CERN in Switzerland, a quiet British engineer named Tim Berners-Lee had an idea. Frustrated that scientists couldn't easily share documents across different computers, he invented the World Wide Web, hypertext, URLs, HTML, and HTTP. On Christmas Day 1990, he fired up the first website. It was simple, but it changed everything. In 1991, he released the code to the public for free. No patents, no royalties. Within years, browsers like Mosaic appeared. The web went mainstream. By the mid-90s, companies rushed online. The military secret had officially become the People's Network. Wow fact, the original first website is still online today at info.cern.ch. You can visit the exact page Tim Berners-Lee published in 1991. The internet was no longer a weapon. It was a gift.
From military experiment to everyday magic. Fast forward to today, what started as 4 nodes in 1969 now connects over 5 billion people. Your smartphone is more powerful than the computers that landed men on the moon. We stream 4K movies, run billion-dollar businesses, and talk face-to-face with someone on the other side of the planet, all thanks to those original packet-switching ideas. Here are 4 facts that still blow me away. 1. The entire original ARPANET in 1971 had only 15 computers. Today, there are more internet-connected devices on Earth than human beings. 2. The @ symbol in every email was chosen in 1971 simply because it wasn't used on typewriters. One random key changed global communication forever. 3. Tim Berners-Lee, the man who invented the web, never made a dime from patents. He gave it away so the world could grow together. 4. Every single day, the internet carries more than 300 billion emails, 5 billion Google searches, and enough data to fill millions of libraries of Congress. And the craziest part? It was never meant for any of this. It was built to survive war and ended up creating the largest peaceful collaboration in human history. The legacy of a secret that connected humanity. So there you have it, the full story. From Cold War bunkers and nuclear nightmares to the device in your hand right now. A military secret designed to keep fighting after the world ended became the invention that connected the living world like never before. When I first learned this story, I realized something powerful. The greatest inventions aren't always born from comfort. They're born from necessity, from fear, from people who refuse to accept that something was impossible. Paul Baran, Licklider, Cerf, Kahn, Berners-Lee, none of them set out to invent social media or online shopping. They just wanted to keep communication alive. And in doing so, they gave us all a voice. The internet isn't perfect. It has challenges, dangers, and responsibilities. But it remains the most incredible tool humanity has ever built. If this story fired you up, hit that like button, subscribe to the Invent IQ, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next hidden history. Now I want to hear from you. Write in the comments, which invention do you want me to cover next? The telephone, electricity, or something completely different? Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep inventing the future.